Welcome back to the channel, everybody. A1 Locksmith, I'm Robert. We're doing the A1 EDU videos. We come to you, we talk about products and how-tos, and you might have seen the channel, you might not, you might be new. Welcome. This particular video, we're gonna talk about another safe option that you should be thinking about while looking for a new safe. This particular video is gonna be about the American Security Products SF6032. Let's get ready. That's right, grab pen, grab paper. Be prepared to pause and rewind and remember all of these details. The SF series, again, the 6032. Let's figure out what we know about this safe and how to compare it to what you're shopping for, okay? First things first, we'll point out the color. The safe is in a black texture finish. I point that out firstly because it seems the most obvious. This line of safes is only available in the black texture finish. It does come with the black chrome hardware, so that would be around the keypad. That's also going to be on the 3-spoke handle that we see here. The ESL5 keypad comes with it standard from the manufacturer. Pretty neat. AMSEC does their own locks, their own keypads rather, meaning that's all in-house. They don't outsource anybody for that type of hardware lock. That's all their R&D, that's all of their in-house business. So that's kind of cool. Yes, we can swap out, we can go mechanical if we want to. Very easy to change your combination and things like that on the ESL family, and they're pretty reliable. I say that as a locksmith. They're shown over the years, just in my mere 20 years as a locksmith, to be very dependable. The handle is nice aesthetically. It's great that it has the 3-spoke, it's nice to turn. Exterior hinges, allowing the door to swing. So if you have the space to do that, or you just want a little more room while you're in your safe, exterior hinges are always nice. The thing we should talk about next, I'm gonna jump right into, is measurements, okay? It is sitting on a pallet, however, it is 59 inches tall. It is 30 inches wide. This safe is 21 inches deep. That's just the body of the safe itself. That does not include hardware like the keypad or the 3-spoke or the hinges or anything. So I'm bringing that point up because it's very important that when you're measuring, if you want to try to get this to a closet, can't guarantee that one. A lot of closets having a 24-inch door, 23-inch opening, that could be tricky since the hinges don't come off. So I'm not saying that it won't, but measure, 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 remeasure. So keep in mind, if I tell you that it's 21 inches deep, you're gonna wanna add a good solid 2.5 inches of depth. We're trying to get through spaces, okay? Keep that there. This safe is manufactured with a 12-gauge steel body. 12-gauge steel, we talk about it all the time. That is not super high intense thickness or anything of that nature, but if we're shopping for something that's definitely better than, say, entry-level protection, we found our way there with 12-gauge steel. Pretty neat. This safe offers a 3/16" plate door. And what I'm saying is that this entire piece of steel that makes the face of the door is made from the 3/16" thick steel. Then they add the rest of the door to it as far as the bolt work, the bolts going in and out, so we'll get into that. I think before we open her up and take a few more looks at that and what's on the inside as well, we'll go ahead and we'll talk about the fire, because that's probably a very important one on your list right now if you're shopping for it. This safe is offered at 60 minutes at 1200 degrees. That is kind of in the business we like to say, you may have heard me say it in other videos, you probably heard me say it 1,000 times, that's about the minimum recommended fire protection. Again, that's based off of what we see when we drill somebody's safe open that's been in a fire. Just keep that in mind. But for fire protection, to really help break it down, we've created this lovely little graph that we like to use. And it starts by dimming the lights, not the disco ball. Dimming the The light. Thank you. So what happens is, if a fire reaches 1200 degrees, and if it stays that hot for a continual 60 minutes, the interior temperature of the safe will not breach 350 degrees. That's what the manufacturer tells us. Lights. Thank you. So now we've kind of talked about some of those things to keep in mind as we keep going. Let's dive in. I don't think I've said it yet. This safe weighs about 662 pounds. So if that matters, or if you're looking about your space, or you have a pier and beam, that's probably pretty important to think about. Excuse me, or if we're going upstairs, obviously, with it. The door we talked about right there a minute ago was the 3/16 plate, so that whole thing is one piece of steel. It's 3/16 inches thick, which is really good. I'm not gonna tell you that's phenomenal, I'm telling you that's really good. That is important because, again, we talk about brute force. People are trying to break in their hammers and crowbars and drills and all these things that they're attempting to do. That's gonna withstand a pretty good amount of attack because most human beings cannot penetrate a 3/16 inch steel with hand tools. What also adds to the strength of the door, of course, are these 1.25 inch diameter bolts, and they are protruding all the way around the door. So the door essentially has 4 points that it's got bolts sticking out in order to make it very difficult to, again, try to come in here and crowbar and pry bar. Back to brute force, if somebody was to try to knock the lock off with a hammer or what have you, try to drill their way through the lock thinking, hey, if I can just destroy the lock, I'll be able to turn the handle, get into the safe. Can't believe the manufacturers never thought of that. Wait, they did. It's called an external relocker, okay? It is attached to the lock body itself on the inside of the door, which you can't see. And what happens is essentially it's a booby trap. So that lock on the inside of the door gets jarred and moved too much. It, again, is attached to this booby trap, and once the booby trap has been shaking and moving too much, it's essentially a spring holding up a piece of steel, and it's gonna fall right down into the mechanism of the handle, not allowing the handle to turn whatsoever, so try your best. They do have Palusol and their other seal here. I think they call it like their silicone seal. So you get 2 points of protection where this Palusol is going to increase 7 times its natural size during the course of a fire. It'll start to do that expansion at about 256 degrees, roughly. This right here as well will do some expansion. What's happening is that you've got 2 points on the door, or between the door and the body, in which it's creating a tighter seal between the two so that soot and heat and air and things like that hopefully don't find their way inside the safe. That's the whole point of those products. And it seems to work pretty well from what I've seen after a fire, of course. The door is a very multi-purpose, very multi-function. You will notice it's kind of the elephant on the door, if you will. I do have a long gun right here, so that is possible. You can do that. You could probably get away with 2 of them on there. It's got a pouch at the bottom for the buttstock there. These are just Velcroed on, and I know we all have different feelings about that, but there is movement, sure, but that's actually just the door panel itself moving. Maybe on this particular one just needed a hair more adhesive or something behind it, but it's not coming off. Between me and the genius behind the camera shaking it and moving it around and doing all of our filming and everything, nothing has fallen off. And these are mine, so they better not. And they haven't. They seem really secure, and they have in other videos that we've done of American Security products that have the exact same setup right there. Pouches and Velcro and things of that nature. On the inside here, this is a, 22 gun safe. Well, we all know it to be true about scopes and how many they hold, things like that. So in here, and hopefully you'll get plenty of good footage of it. I did put some, as always, weapons in here to help you understand what that might look like with real guns in there. And I didn't use anything too tiny. Up front, we've got an AR platform 223, and it's got an optic, and a 300 blackout with an optic, and a 270 bolt action, again with an optic, a 22 with an optic. Kind of went optic heavy to really say, okay, hey man, what do you have? What would yours be like in here? In the back, I did use a 12 gauge. Now this is a little taller, meaning this is one of my bird guns. That's a 28-inch long barrel. Pretty cool. They think ahead, and in their top shelf, they do a cutout so that that barrel has room to breathe. Otherwise he wouldn't fit in there. Or you'd have to move the shelf up and down, or you'd have to move it all the way up in order to do that. Pretty cool. You can actually even lower this shelf down with that barrel still sticking through. So kind of functional. You can do guns on both sides. As you see, I did it with one, so I can flip this, meaning the guns could be here, the shelves could be there. And as we always like to speak to, again, if you don't own a gun, but you want a larger safe, this absolutely works for you as well, because you can just order more shelves, and we can do shelves on both sides for you. Something to think about. The interior is pretty standard carpet stuff. Nothing different you haven't seen there. There are 4 holes in the bottom of it, so we can put it in place, and then we can bolt it down to a foundation, so that making it even more difficult for somebody to attempt to try to steal it or tamper with it as well. So important to talk about. I mentioned the lock, but what I didn't say, sorry, was that there is a 5-year manufacturer's warranty on their lock. And to be very clear, everybody in the lock game or in the safe game is pretty much on the same page, where that simply means if there's an issue with your keypad or your mechanical lock, either one, inside of 5 years, you call them, the manufacturer, discuss the issue, they troubleshoot with you over the phone. If we can't resolve it that way, then they pay somebody like us to come out to you and take care of that. So keep that in mind. There is a lifetime warranty against the attempted break-ins that we discussed, right? The crowbars, beating on it, drilling. And of course against fire as well that we talked about. Meaning, simply put, one of those two things happens. You call them, they send me out there. If I can't repair the damage, the safe is replaced a lifetime. Again, I've worked with many manufacturers, we all do here in this company, and those warranties are what they say they are. They're all really good about that. So it's really important that I now tell you the grand finale of this box, which we've all been wondering this whole time. Robert, what is the price? This particular safe is going to retail, I know with us, as of October of 2023, this is gonna be $17.99. There's always a chance that I'm mistaken, so they do this really cool graphic right here to ensure you that I was correct, or not. So keep that in mind, because I think price point for a 1-hour safe at these dimensions with these features, pretty nice box. If you have any questions that I didn't happen to cover within this particular safe, let me know, okay? With that, if we did a good job for you in this video, go ahead and like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. So when the next video comes out, you are made aware. And until then, see you next time. Thanks for watching.